Alright, glove number 1 on Tulo Tuesday. Let's start with the obvious. This is the one that all the TT2s, all the Tulos, it always comes back to this one. Pro TT2. This one is Horween tan. And yeah, a lot of features on these. Besides just the pattern, the name associated with it. But let's get into it. This is Horween tan. It's Horween Ball Glove X, I believe is the tannage. And they just basically made this glove to sort of replace Tulo's The Creature, I think is the nickname that it earned. The glove that he used for most of his career that was just absolutely disgusting by the time it died. Yeah, Rawlings made this for him to basically mimic everything about that glove when he wanted to replace it. So you got the older classic styling. So that classic Horween tan, split gray welt all around. This one has the Gold Glove Co. In patch form, so it's stitched onto the pinky, and in the palm you got the black ink for the Heart of the Hide logo, the Rawlings, and all the info. Nowadays everything is basically just embossed, or they have like the foil stamping, but the classic black ink stamping on the classic Horween tan and the classic split gray welting with the classic tan lace. And this one has Horween tan liner. A lot of these Horween gloves, if they're reproductions or special editions, they'll kind of alternate between like a Horween tan liner or like a black Horween black liner, or sometimes like a dark brown, almost timber glaze color liner. But this one's a matching liner. Thing about the Tulos, one of the ways to kind of illustrate just how flat this pattern is if you look at it from the side, looking at it down like this, just look at the shape, the overall shape that this creates. On the deeper pattern gloves like the 204s, the 200 patterns in general, this is going to be a lot more pronounced, a lot more kind of rounded, almost like a bowl kind of shape. But on the Tulos, it's very flat. And then the TT2, the pattern itself, some of the things you'll notice, it's got that laced palm pad here, like a lot of the current Asian or Japanese or Korean patterns have. It has sort of this extra wide pinky side over here, where you can see the wrist goes in, but the glove kind of continues on. And then separating the pinky pad and the thumb and palm pad, instead of basically this row of lace being down here, you got this extra gap here. That's basically when this glove closes, it really wants to close thumb to index. But yeah, single post. You can see the palm leather on the TT2s, all of them that we'll go over. Just on this pattern in general, this palm leather folds over the back here and then is stitched back onto itself, very similar to like the NP patterns, like an NP4, NP5. That's one of the distinctive indicators you can tell from the outside of the glove. Yeah, it's got gap welting here between the fingers. Classic. These are the small patches, small Rawlings patch, red and white oval, and the very classic Vegas gold stitching. So I always like the black Rawlings here, black or red. They always look good on the Horween tan. So this is it. This is the one. This is if there's a TT2 you want to get your hands on, that every collector likes to have in their collection, it's this one. So yeah, there you go. All right, next up is a TT2. It's a little bit different. A lot of things are the same, but you know, definitely some very obvious differences. This one's not Horween. It's not tan. This one is timber glaze, but still has the split gray welt. This is a Pro TT2-13. So the -13 is this wide single post with the R logo. Yeah, very similar to just the standard single post, but just, you know, they just kind of made a rounder shape to it. Added the R logo patch and had sort of this wraparound lace pattern on it to give it a little more strength. So yeah, this one's timber glaze palm, timber glaze back. It's got a kind of matching liner. This one has a leather palm pad in it, which is an option on the customizer. You can get any of the gloves they make, any of the ones you customize with or without a palm pad. Palm pad's basically just an additional layer of leather between the liner leather and the shell leather. They just put an additional layer between the two, and as you can see that it's just stitched there, but it's not through the whole liner itself. It's just this area, you know, near the pocket where, you know, you might experience some stings. Yeah, this is matching lace, so it's not timber glaze lace, but we went over in the last video, if you want to match your lace to your timber glaze glove, it's dark tan. Dark tan on the customizers will get you there. So this is tone on tone stitching. So they basically have the stitching to just blend in and match the tone of the leather. And then nothing changed with the patches, just the classic red with white text patch. This, like all the TT2s, has the small rectangle patch. And yeah, just like all the TT2s, the thumb loop, when it goes in, kind of see there's the thumb loop. It goes back under the liner leather, and if you look up here, you'll see it. This is tied off. If you're wondering kind of what that is, that's actually part of the thumb loop. These two pieces of leather go through the thumb over the pad that's in here, come back out of the glove here, and then go back in, and then they wrap. So it goes here, here, and then it goes under, but it wraps around the thumb pad, and then it comes back out right there, and then you tie off on your thumb. So you see that a lot on the Japanese or Asian patterns, but that's what that is. That's the thumb loop. It's just wrapped around the thumb pad. So this one's cool. It's got the gold stamping on the timber glaze. Always looks good. It's a really classy glove. So okay, the third TT2 we got here, this is another custom. This one is timber glaze as well. This batch of timber glaze looks a little different than the previous ones. You can see the dark tan lace on it. This has a little bit more red in it, and then this timber glaze is just kind of lacking a little bit of that red, but it's still timber glaze, definitely. It's not the Sandlot. If you were to do this in Sandlot, which would be kind of what this would be closest to, but it's not. It's definitely a little darker, kind of chocolate brown. This is still timber glaze. But yeah, this one's got no foil stamping, just the embossed logo there. Pro TT2-20 TI, TI for timber glaze, 20 for that single post. A -1 would be a single post like this, but the 20 is basically a -1, but it has this lacing pattern, this X pattern coming out of it. It just gives it a couple more points where the lace can go through and creates a little bit more strength, because that area of the pocket definitely gets the most wear from catching balls. Yeah, this is the split gray welt. It's got the embroidered, the Gold Glove Co. on it in royal to match the royal patches, and the embroidery on the finger there. Yeah, so that's a cool one. No palm pad in this one, just that deer tanned cowhide. Alright, the fourth TT2 got here. Pro TT2-20, just like the last one. This one is a custom. So see, this one came out of the custom shop. All timber glaze, front and back. Vegas gold stitching. Split gray welt. This is the classic tan lace. So it's not the dark tan, it's not going to match the timber glaze perfectly, but it's that classic tan Rawlings or Tanner's lace that everyone knows. Yeah, no foil, just embossed. Classic red patch. It's got the matching liner. They give you the option if you want a black liner or to have it match the palm shell color, and that's what we got here. So this one has black embroidery. The Gold Glove Co. and the Rawlings are embroidered in black, just like the Arenado is, the timber glaze Arenado. He always has the black on the index and pinky, and then you see that detail once again with the thumb loop. So yeah, that's a cool custom timber glaze TT2-20. Okay, this TT2 is pretty cool. This one came out a few years back. This was I can't remember if it was in the line or if it was a special edition, but this one, it's not a custom. They weren't super hard to get when they came out, but it's kind of a pattern, or not a pattern, a glove that Rawlings put out that really got no attention when it came out. And then just as soon as they kind of dried up, they became pretty valuable, pretty sought after. I think a lot of it had to do with this cool patch that they put on this one in particular. This is a Pro TT2-1 BDSR. So yeah, we got the black palm. It says Troy Tulowitzki TT2 pattern. -1, so it's a single post. The BDS is black and dark shadow. So that dark shadow is basically like a graphite kind of gray they put on the trim here. If you can see, it's on this half of the pinky, the wrist portion behind the patch, and this part of the thumb. And then just having two different colors, you can see the contrast there of the thumb loop being fed back through, back around, and then tied off there. This is an interesting patch, the R here. So whereas most of the Rawlings patches, the whole thing is embroidered, this is leather, like here. The R is obviously stitched with like a royal thread, but it's stitched onto black leather, not the whole thing is stitched. So pretty interesting. And this has royal blue Rawlings and Gold Glove Co. on the pinky. Again, looking at the glove from the side, you can see just how flat these are. This one's a little bit used, pretty low miles. I mean, still plenty stiff, but you can see how this glove really wants to close. It's definitely thumb to index. A lot of that is, it's just how the pattern's made, just how the glove is made, how it really wants to break like that. Yeah, we've had a number of these come through the store over the years. Whenever they come in, they do not last long. Even though visually it's not the most like striking or exciting glove, it's still one that people just grab up anytime they see. So that's a cool one. Alright, our final Tulo of the day. Sort of a hybrid, or I don't know what you'd really call it, but obviously the TT2 is the Troy Tulowitzki pattern. But devotees will recognize this color scheme to be Machado's NP5 from a few years back, maybe 5 years ago by now. They came out with, Rawlings came out with an NP5 that was the Manny Machado model, which was basically done exactly like this, with the navy here, gray lace, white. So yeah, this is a -20, like we said. It's got that single post with the X pattern here. This one's got navy patches, navy and white. This is that kind of brown or almost like a chestnut colored liner. It's definitely a cool one. It's a Tulo, you know, sort of winking at Machado, or Machado winking at Tulo, kinda. Yeah, I can never get over just how flat this pattern is. I mean, a lot of middle infielders really like very flat pattern. Look at guys like Andrelton Simmons. I mean, his glove is almost like thumb, doesn't even go to the index. His is almost like that. But so yeah, that's our last TT2 of this video, but not our last glove. Alright, I may have lied when I said that was the last TT2, but I may not have. You can be the judge of that. This is a Pro AK2 MB Pro. So doesn't say TT2 anywhere here. Doesn't say TT2 there. But maybe you can see down under the retail tag here, it says TT2 pattern. Right there. TT2 pattern. I've been asked a number of times, hey, what's the difference between an AK2 and a TT2? I don't know. I don't know if AK was a player, is a player, and they were number 2. I don't know. But I know that these are quite a bit more scarce than any TT2s. You see them come around every now and then, but they're definitely not common. Let's take a look at this one though. So this one has the gold stamp. Gold stamping in the palm. Pro AK2 MB Pro. So M is for mesh, B is for black, Pro is Pro department. When the model number and everything else is bookended by Pro, that means the glove came from the Pro department, which I believe Rawlings is kind of moving away from that. But maybe in the last 10-ish years, if you have a glove that was made in the last 10-ish years, it says Pro at one side, Pro on the other side, it means it came out of the Pro department. But the mesh on this one, you can see, goes from this half of the pinky over to this half of the index. It's black mesh, split black welt. It's got some white stitching here to kind of make those fingertips stand out. Gold embroidery on just the pinky here, Gold Glove Co. And there's no embroidery on the index because these are two different materials. They had to connect them with a welt, and you can't really embroider over a welt. So Rawlings just leaves that blank. This one, it's just like all of our other TT2s, because it is, but it has Rawlings in gold on the thumb. Classic red and white. It's got that fold over palm leather. It's got the Japanese style thumb loop. But this one has finger pad on the index position. Yeah. AK2, Pro AK2 MB Pro. Definitely a cool one. Shouldn't last long. Alright, last glove of the box, last glove of the day. This one, not a TT2, but it is a single post. So I figured that's why we should include it with the TT2s. This one is really cool. It is Pro 205 DM-1. So this one is a custom, and it's the only 11 3/4 we've had. So that's cool. So it's 200 pattern instead of a TT2. 205 means 11 3/4. DM is the deco mesh. So not just the mesh, but remember the AK2 we just looked at? The mesh went from this half of the pinky over to this half of the index, but on this one the mesh continues all the way over to the thumb. So that is what Rawlings calls their deco style. So you can do that with the mesh, the camo mesh, black mesh, brown mesh, or speed shell, hyper shell, any of the synthetic materials Rawlings offers. And then this is considered the back leather color here. So you can get creative and make this sort of rim of where the web goes. You can make that a certain color and make it, you know, pop with either your web leather color or mesh or whatever material color. It's just a cool option Rawlings gives you. This one's the camo. It's got the dark green rolled welting matching the dark green binding and the dark green lace. Looks really good with this timber glaze. And then dark green patches. Actually, I don't know if Rawlings calls this dark green or just green. I can't remember off the top of my head, but green patches, the white text. And then this being a -1, like we said, it's a single post, and then this one just doesn't have the X laced on the web. And instead of it being laced from this hole to this hole, it's laced on both sides. So it distributes some of that stress from all those catches across 4 holes instead of 2. So yeah, dark green looks really good on that timber glaze. People are always iffy about the mesh on the Rawlings gloves if they've never seen it in person. People really just think, oh, should I order that with mesh? I don't know. I mean, we've seen tons of them come through the store. Personally, I think the mesh gloves are cool. I've never owned one, but I got nothing, you know, negative to say about them. You know, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with the mesh. It's not for everybody, but it definitely does make the glove lighter. I think one of the challenging things about this material, which isn't Rawlings' fault, it's just a property of this material, is when it's cut, it's gonna leave, you know, a sort of a frayed edge that just wants to keep fraying, and then the only real way to get around that is either to use like eyelets or grommets or kind of burn the ends of the strands, which is burn or melt, I guess would be a less crude way to say that, but yeah. You can see Rawlings, it's kind of, I think that's what they try to do. So if that puts you off a little bit, then maybe it's not for you, but you really kind of got to look for it. I mean, if you're just going out and playing, you'll never notice it. But if you sit around with your gloves with a magnifying glass and a bright light, yeah, it might bug you. Anyways, this custom, it's really cool. Timber glaze and dark green, Pro 205 DM-1. This is a really cool one.